Hi, I'm Nicholas Seminario, founder of Dark Angel Company. This podcast is to share the untold stories of just a few of the many people battling mental illnesses in this world. If you're in need of a little inspiration to keep fighting or to feel less alone in your battle, keep listening and share to spread awareness. This is the Dark Angel Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Dark Angel Podcast. Today is going to be a very, very special episode. It is actually episode 50 of the Dark Angel Podcast, so we're going to be doing a little bit of a tribute to that. It's crazy that it's been 50 episodes already. We've been doing the podcast for a little over a year. We started out doing it an episode a week, and things got in the way, so I eventually had to do an episode every other week. But now we're back on the grind. We're back doing an episode every week, and we've been doing that for about 5 months now.
I have no idea.
I think it's
something like that, though.
Yeah, since like New Year's.
I'd even say since before that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, it's been awesome. We've been really putting in a lot of work, a lot of time. As you guys can see if you're viewing it from YouTube, we're not in our normal setup. We're currently in Pennsylvania. I'm on a little vacation. Max came up. We're going to be hanging out a little, golfing. And we said, you know what? There's no better place to do a podcast while we're relaxing. We're in a good mood. We're in a good spot. So, yeah, we're deciding to do the podcast here, episode 50. And I just kind of want to go down memory lane a little bit from when I first started this. So I started this podcast in February of 2022, I believe, around there. And, you know, I had this idea of doing this podcast in about like November, and I didn't know how I wanted to go about it. I didn't know if it would actually become anything or actually do well. And I'm glad I took that leap, and I'm glad I was wrong. And with Max, I actually would send Max these episodes before we would even record them, before we would air them. we recorded them. You can't send them to you if they're not recorded.
Oh, shit.
But so I would send Max these episodes before they were aired, and he even said, he was like, dude, these are really, really good. He's like, you're gonna help people. And that meant a lot to me, and I really valued his opinion, and you know, you kind of helped really push me through it and helped get me to where we're at today. So, you know, what do you remember from those first few episodes that I sent you? You know, what really stuck out to you? And because this was before I even released any of them. This was like a month or two.
It would be like you'd record them and send them over right away.
Yeah.
I'd go listen to them like as I go walking on the beach sometimes during lunch. And they were awesome because sometimes, you know, that was when I was in Florida, and I wasn't always in the best place down there, and listening to other people kind of talk about how they worked through their things, because I know in the beginning it was more so about people sharing their stories than anything, and hearing someone else's story and hearing how they kind of struggled from their perspective and how they ended up getting through it or how they're getting through it currently helped me kind of reframe the way I was looking at the things that were going on in my life. So it helped really kind of change my mindset, and even if the situation didn't change, I felt refreshed after.
Yeah, and I remember you saying all that stuff, and, you know, you kind of changed your whole outlook on things just from listening to those first few episodes. I remember in the beginning, there were a few episodes that, you know, people had a lot of hard things they had to go through, and you kind of just put it into your own perspective, and you're like, I'm here, I'm in Florida, like, why am I looking at things so negatively? And I just remember at that time, you were really changing your mindset. You were really changing the way you think. Instead of being so negative, you were trying to be much more positive. And now look at you. You know, look at how different.
Yeah, I mean, I still struggle with that stuff, but that was the kind of the start of where I realized, like, the mindset that you have in those moments does have a big effect. And it was because of those podcasts that really kind of helped me realize that.
Yeah, and I think it's just so cool how our relationship has really changed over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And
well, a year and a half ago, I don't even think we were talking, really.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. I think we started reaching out to each other
I don't even remember how.
I don't either. I think you were in New York because you were in Florida, and then I think you were in New York, and I must have seen something on your story or something. I don't remember, or maybe it was your birthday. So I just reached out and said happy birthday.
Yeah, that's what it was. You did.
Yeah, and
Yeah, something like that.
And then we just stayed in touch. We started talking more, and and then we would call each other on the phone a bunch, and then eventually I started sending you them, and then we actually got you on the podcast. I believe it was like March.
Yeah, it was beginning of the year. It was one of the. I think it was March. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were
home for a week or something like that.
Yeah, and you were one of the earlier episodes too. I think you were episode like 13 or something like that.
Yeah, we were still in your room.
Yeah.
On the plastic tables.
Yeah.
No video.
Yep, that's the other thing. So we've made a lot of upgrades, just from audio quality, camera quality, room quality,
Whole podcast setup
everything.
in general.
Yeah, even the actual content that we're giving you guys is, in my opinion, much more structured, much more better, and I have to give that credit to Shannon. But
the one who carries all of the podcasts.
Yeah, she's.
No, you guys don't see it.
She's a huge help behind the scenes. But yeah, it started out in my bedroom, and I had pretty crappy, cheap mics, just kind of doing our thing and
figuring it out.
Yeah, and then as time went on, we eventually made a bunch of upgrades and changed things up a little bit, which I think the changes have really helped and made things a lot better. But yeah, I mean, we've gone through so much just over a year and a half, of starting this company and starting the podcast. So, it means a lot for all of you who have stuck around since the beginning, those of you who are new and who are following the journey now until, the future. But it's just been such an amazing journey, even in my life, just how my life has progressed and how far I've come from all my struggles and how I've been able to help people. And, now you're a part of it. You're a part of helping people see things differently. You're a part of, changing people's outlooks on things. So how is this whole experience over the last, because you've been a part of them for the last 6 months, give or take?
We started when I came home?
Yeah.
Kind of started up a little, not too long after that.
Yeah, maybe December.
I came back in August, but we didn't start up until maybe September, October.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We were doing them since then.
We just weren't doing them as frequently.
Yeah, we were doing them every other week.
And then there's been a couple weeks in the past month or two where we didn't record.
Yeah.
But other than that, we've been doing it pretty well.
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest change the podcast, recording, have had on me. I was never comfortable, in front of the camera, in front of, a group of people. Not that I can see the people listening, but I've gotten more comfortable kind of in my own skin, and that part has helped a lot.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing I was never really comfortable with, ever, in any aspect, so it was cool.
Yeah, it is funny. Max is a very, I wouldn't say shy, but you're very
withdrawn a little bit.
Yeah, you're very to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't bother anybody. Nobody bothers you. And I think that has definitely changed. You've gotten out of your shell a little bit.
Yeah, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's it's new. It's not something I'm still completely comfortable with all the time, but it's something that I've come to not just hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I didn't really like getting in front of the camera at all at first.
Yeah.
And now I don't really think about it. So it's a nice change.
Yeah, and I even remember too, before I started recording with video, it used to just be audio. And even that, you were like, oh, dude, I hate the sound of my voice. I hate, and now it's you're on camera, you're on clips, you're on, so it's everything.
The clips still, I don't like seeing myself on the clips, but other than that, I don't mind it,
Yeah, no, I get it. And yeah, it's so cool to see something you put a lot of work into really grow and become something, because at first it was just an idea, and it transitioned from an idea into a passion. And it's something I really, really love doing. I've been able to have so many cool people on, so many interesting stories, and none are the same. Everything's different. And it just really goes to show you that we're all struggling in our different ways, but we're all able to kind of come together and see light at the end of our struggles. We're able to see that, okay, yeah, this person's story is different than mine, but I can take that and incorporate that into my own life, right? So we've really been able to kind of mature as a community and mature as a whole and say, look, I'm going through this, you're going through this, let's help each other, right? Or let me take that piece of information and better my life. And I think we've really done a good job of doing that, whether it's with guests or whether it's with you when we're kind of talking about more personal things. You know, we've opened up and we've had to kind of dig deep. Sometimes you don't want to dig deep, but we've had to. We've had to dig deep and have these conversations that really aren't always comfortable. That maybe I would never say that, right? Like, how many times?
I definitely wouldn't say some of the things that I've said on this podcast anywhere else.
Yeah, like how many times, and you probably can't even count it on your two hands, but how many times have you talked about stuff where you'd be like, I would never talk about this?
I'd say it's probably happened, like, I'd probably count it all in both hands.
Yeah.
But nothing more than that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's not like you either. Like,
No.
you're not somebody who shares stuff.
No. I'm very private.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like sharing, and it's been different, and I've realized that, like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
too,
And
you know?
have you had any negative responses from that? Like, have people looked at you differently in a negative way or
Not
positive?
that I've seen, and not that I think I'd care about at this point either. Maybe in the beginning I would have cared more, or cared in general, but now at this point, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, no, and that
You
makes
know?
sense. I get it. And
Yeah.
that's such a good way to kind of go about things. And I'm in the same boat. I used to really care what people think, and I think this has really given me that opportunity to be like, you know what? I'm doing what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Why should I care what people
And
think?
one thing I've noticed too, not many people really share their negative opinions directly with you.
Yeah,
And if people are going to have negative opinions and they're not going to tell you, who cares?
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, another thing too, like my mental health has been in a very good place, and I would kind of give a lot of credit to this. Would you say it's the same or similar situation?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, I don't want to say it's a direct correlation in the sense that, like, every podcast we do, I feel better afterwards. But there's definitely been podcasts where we've had some conversations, and I've driven home afterwards and, like, just thought about what we talked about. And because sometimes when we talk about things, I struggle in that area in my life outside of the podcast, you know, and the things that I'm sharing on it. So it's been able to kind of help me bring some of the things we talk about to my life as well.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's so cool that we have that opportunity. You know, like we're able to sit here, talk in front of people, and just help ourselves, help other people. You know, it's like there's so many positive things that really do come from it, and I think we're very lucky. I think we, you know, are very lucky we're able to do this, and it makes me so happy that I'm able to talk in front of you guys. And, you know, I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this. It's crazy that we're at episode 50. You know, it's like, it's weird to
It
think
almost
about.
feels like it's been more than that.
Yeah, I know, right? But, and then you kind of think about it and you're like, 50 is a lot. 50
is a lot.
individual hours of episode. You know, that's 50 hours. That's 2 days
Yeah,
full
it's 2
worth
days full of
of
talking.
talking.
I don't even think I talked that many hours over like a week, honestly. Like outside
So,
of the podcast.
Yeah, right? So it's kind of interesting to think about. I also want to thank all of you guys. Please make sure to give a 5-star rating on the show. It really, really helps us out. Gives us a lot of fuel, keeps us going, and it really, really means a lot. And so yesterday I sent a poll out on Instagram, and I wanted to do a little Q&A today. We've never done a Q&A on any of the episodes, so I thought, hey, why not? Episode 50, it's pretty fitting, it's exciting, let's do something different. So I'm going to be reading off a bunch of questions from you guys, viewers, fans, whatever it is, and we're going to be answering questions. Some I can only answer, some only Max can answer.
We'll do our
And-
best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, might not
Yep.
be the best answers, but
Exactly.
we'll see.
So, and look, even in the future, if you guys ever have questions or topics that you want us to talk about, always shoot us a DM, however you want to communicate it to us. we're always open to it, right? We love doing things for you guys. That's why we're doing this.
And we're always looking for new ideas too.
Exactly.
New things to talk about.
Yes, can never hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get into the first few questions. Question number 1. Interesting way to start off. Are you single? No, I am not single.
Yes.
Max is. So if any of you are on the market, Max is right here. So good question is, what is your favorite way to start your day? So I think I could go about this question a few ways. I would say in short, probably waking up early, going out on the golf course, having a nice day of golf after 9 holes, getting either breakfast or lunch, depending on what time it is, finishing the round, and that would kind of be my ideal start to my day, right? Just getting up, doing my morning routine, brushing my teeth, doing my hair, showering, whatever, getting up early, going out to the course. I think it's just such a peaceful moment, and that would probably be my favorite way to start my day.
Yeah, I like that. It's not a bad one. I'd probably have to say, get up early, cup of coffee, go to the beach, just kind of hang out for a little bit.
I like that.
Maybe jump in the water.
Yeah, very nice. Next question. What advice would you give to someone to gain self-confidence? I like this question a lot. So I'm somebody who I would say I'm relatively confident. I'm pretty confident in who I am. I don't really care about what other people think. And, to kind of gain self-confidence is a lot of self-talk, right? You have to believe that you're good at things. You have to believe in things where people may be doubting you, right? So let's say you're not too confident in your athletics, right? You have to, put the work in, right, to kind of back up your confidence. But you also have to believe in yourself. You have to tell yourself and kind of convince yourself that you're good at these things or you're better than people. And that's kind of what I've done. I've tricked myself almost into saying, no, you're good at this. You could do anything you put your mind to. And that's kind of where my confidence comes from. And I don't let people deter me from that, right? I'm going to make sure that if somebody says, oh, no, you can't do that, I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, you want to bet? Let's see. And I'm going to prove them wrong, right? So you kind of have to believe in yourself. And another big thing, too, is faking it till you make it. Like, we live in a world where so many people are faking it. But guess what? You don't know they're faking it, and they're putting on this act and this confidence that I can do this and I'm going to prove you wrong. So it's like you kind of just have to believe in yourself, fake it till you make it, and positively reinforce yourself and give yourself the credit that you're due.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I like that. The one thing I'd say that helped me is like kind of have to lean into who you are. When you're trying to be someone else, whether it be for social reasons or you're just not comfortable as who you are, you're not going to feel as comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, you're not going to be confident. And just, you got to embrace who you are and do the things that you want to do. And through that, you're going to gain confidence in who you are.
Yeah. And just to iterate that, like, you have to make sure you're also surrounding yourself with people, right? Like, we're around each other, and I'm not going to just make you feel bad for things, right? I'm going to be there to boost you. And don't get me wrong, we'll banter with each other. Yeah, like, exactly. But we never hit below the belt. We're not like, oh, yeah, you're a loser. Like, we're not going to make you feel bad about yourselves. Like, you have to also have people around you who are going to make you feel good. Like, you want to kind of make that confidence just spurring off you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, it's very easy to no one wants to let people bring you down, but it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're around you.
Yes, 100%. And, like I said, like, if you're with your boys and they're shitting on you, like, yeah, laugh. It could be funny, but you also have to respect yourself. And if it kind of gets past the point or where you're uncomfortable,
And don't be afraid to put your foot down, too. Just
exactly.
I don't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, not funny.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is also a very good question. So, your biggest regret. I'm going to let you take this one because I have to think. I don't have many regrets, honestly.
I'd say I probably rushed out of high school. Like, I rushed to grow up There's that could be a whole podcast in itself. I don't know. Like that'd be my biggest regret. I just think that I rushed into where I'm at now, and I definitely should have gone a little slower. I don't know if it's something I necessarily regret so much as something I've learned, not like rush out of the moment. I took things a little too seriously when I was a little bit younger, 16, 17, 18. But I didn't know any better, So regret or not regret, probably somewhere in between. But I'd probably say that's what it is.
Yeah, for me, like I said, I don't regret many things in my life. I'm somebody who is very happy as of right now with all the decisions I've made. But if I had to choose one thing, it would probably be only applying to one college. So I only applied to Hofstra. That's the only place I wanted to go. I didn't want to go away. Not saying that I still probably wouldn't want to go away, but I would have liked to apply to better schools. I think, now I'm in finance right now. I'm looking to possibly go into like investment banking, private equity, something like that. So if any of you are listening and you need any interns, let me know. But I probably would have
just given yourself more options.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
seen what the world had to offer.
Yeah, and if I did that, I think, I had very good grades in high school. I did a lot of things. So I had pretty good, extracurriculars, all that stuff. But I would have been curious to see where I could have went and then how much easier things would have been. But I guess it just makes it a little more exciting that things are a little more difficult now, right? Because I'm not going to a target school. But other than that, I really don't have many regrets. I had a great childhood. I think the things that happened to me throughout my life made me who I am today. And I wouldn't want to change any of that, right? Yeah. So I think my struggles and my hardships made me who I am, right? So I wouldn't have not want to go through them. So other than that, yeah, I don't have any regrets. What is your favorite thing about your life?
My freedom.
Yeah. So get into that. What do you mean by that? I think all people are up to an extent are free, right? Whether it's the United States, other countries, what do you mean by that?
Every day, I'm at a point, I'm not really doing traditional 4 years of college. I'm trying to play baseball, and do all the things that I'm doing right now. And it's nice because I get to wake up every day and I have the freedom for most of every day to choose what I want to do. And that's something I really enjoy. Some days you can't, you got to do, what you got to do. And you have things to get done. But most days, I get to golf when I want to golf. I get to play baseball when I want to play baseball. I get to go to the beach when I want to go to the beach. And that's fun. Like, that's freedom to me, So that's probably my favorite part about life right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, I would say kind of similar, right? It's like I'm 20 years old. I'm in school. I'm working. I have my own business. Like, I'm literally able to do whatever I want, right? Like, we have the ability to kind of set our minds on something and achieve it if we want to.
Yeah.
Like you said, we have the freedom to golf. We have the freedom to kind of do what makes us happy. So I guess I would say my favorite thing about my life is definitely, the people around me. I think that's also something so important for me is my family, my close people in my life, because I don't know what I would be without them, right? Like, I was always raised where family or close people who you consider family is everything.
Yeah.
And I fully stand by that. I think without them, without their support, I wouldn't be able to do any of the things I love. Like, I'm able to go on a Wednesday if I'm not working. I'm able to go golfing. Like,
in another state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, my dad makes jokes all the time. He's like, man, I want to be your age again. He's like, he's like, I'm working and you're getting to go on vacation and going to play golf. He's like, it's amazing. And it just kind of really shows me like, damn, I'm lucky, right? Like, I'm lucky I'm able to kind of do whatever I want. And, I have amazing parents where They're fully supportive. They like seeing me happy, and I'm very lucky. So I would say all aspects of my life, whether it's golfing, friendships, relationships, family, school, even, we're so lucky that we get to do all these things, where many people don't have this opportunity. So I'm just very happy about my life overall and how lucky I am in general.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
Very wholesome answer.
Now, the next question is, how has this podcast changed your life? So you can answer this also. Your answer might be a little different than mine, but in total, the podcast has obviously tremendously changed my life. I was in high school struggling with anxiety, and, once I started college, still struggling with anxiety. I started this company, started this podcast, and my goal for the entire thing was to make other people realize they're not alone. And in doing that, I realized I wasn't alone, right? So all these people I had on, all these guests, I realized there are people out there who can share their story, first off, right? Who can share their experiences and not be ashamed or embarrassed by what happened and what they had to go through. And instead look at it as, I'm strong, right? I was able to overcome this. So it gave me such a different perspective on all of these topics. I was somebody who grew up where this was talked about sometimes. I would talk about it with my mom, whether if I was going through something, but it wasn't overly talked about. And now we talk about it a lot, right? So starting those conversations and actually being able to see that these conversations are happening. So this podcast has changed my life on so many different levels. I've been able to connect with people I never thought I was going to connect with. I've been able to help people I never thought I was going to help. People have been able to help me who I never thought were going to help. Just so many different aspects of it that has been absolutely amazing. I've learned so many things, not just on the mental health side, but video things, microphone things, computer things, just so many different things I've learned. I've learned how to start a business. I've learned how to create business bank accounts, get LLCs, trademarks. I've learned so many different things. So it has changed my life tremendously, and I'm so lucky yet again to be able to say that this is what I have been able to accomplish.
It's a very good answer.
Thank you.
I'd say for me, it's a little bit more through the actual what we talk about during the podcast. It's helped me kind of realize help me be more grateful, realize how good I have things, especially when I'm not feeling like things are going well, and that's also been part of that mindset shift we were talking about earlier. That's kind of helped me kind of take that next step as well.
Very awesome. Yeah, and I think, as people, we've grown too.
Yeah.
In many different ways. So just as a whole, I think it's been an amazing experience, and I hope to do this forever. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So hopefully this growth continues in every aspect, right? The podcast growth, my life growth, your life growth, everything. Now, this next question is ways to cope with social anxiety. So I'm someone who struggles with social anxiety. I don't know if you do. Do you?
No. I'd probably say it was more public speaking than anything.
Okay.
Talking in front of a group of people, but being in public, not so much.
Okay,
no.
So for me, social anxiety is things that just pop in your head, and you're going to have these worst case scenario things that pop in your head. And I always remembered one thing my therapist said to me. I'm somebody who's super analytical. I'm a math guy. I love numbers. So she said to me, she's like, okay, let's say you're going into the city or you're going on vacation, right? Let's say we're at Woodlock. And there's a lot of people there. And what comes to your head, right? So I'm like, okay, I don't know. She's like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm like, I don't know. Somebody could pull a gun out and try and kill everybody, right? And
I shouldn't laugh about that.
She's like, okay, right? That's super unrealistic, improbable. What is the percentage chance of that happening? And it's extremely slim. She's like, So when these thoughts that are coming into your head are very unlikely, you're somebody who's very logical. You have to be logical. So you have to kind of say to yourself, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And kind of like I said, faking it till you make it and kind of convincing yourself of these things that they're not going to happen also is super important, right? So also kind of sometimes like, I'm not good with this either, but kind of forcing yourself to go into these situations too, which is hard, but it's good. It's good for you.
Yeah, there's one thing I'd say about that I could relate with more so is the uncomfortable situations. If you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, like when those come into your life, whatever, you have to step into those moments, lean into them. Because the more you get comfortable in those moments, the easier those moments will be. The more you put yourself in them, the less you'll even think about it.
Definitely. And I think lately too, like I've been hanging with my friends a little more, which is, just like little things like that. Like you're putting yourself in those situations where you normally wouldn't. I think it's really important. Next question is, I'd be curious if any guest has the possibility of there being any negative or positive effects of them airing their issue to the public. So, you're a guest. I'm going to ask you next, but the first thing I can think of is, I believe it was our third episode with Ryan. Ryan was struggling with a little bit of depression, and, nobody in his life knew about it. So his parents heard the podcast, and they wound up taking him to a therapist, so it's like, that's one experience I know. I don't know of anybody else, but it was a very positive experience. He was able to get help. He kind of fixed and sorted things out. So in that aspect, that was very positive. Like, that was awesome that he was able to see that and see that his family was there for him, and then they wanted to help. They just never knew. So yeah, it was definitely a positive experience. What about you when you came on your first time, when it was about you?
I wouldn't say it was good or bad.
Because your mom listened to it, right?
I don't know if she listened to that one.
Okay.
Yeah. She might have. She hasn't brought it up to me, though.
And I don't know if I remember correctly, but I remember you said people were, like, reaching out to you and saying, like, oh, dude, this was awesome. Like,
yeah, so the TikToks have showed up on all of my friends' pages. They all loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, so, as of what I've seen, I haven't gotten any negative responses or heard of any negative responses from their families. So, hopefully it's continually going to be positive. That would be awesome. Next question is, what is a holistic way to deal with anxiety? So kind of like I said before, putting yourself in these uncomfortable situations. And look, I know it's a lot easier said than done because I struggle with this myself. I think it's very hard to kind of get out of that comfort zone sometimes. But I would definitely say kind of putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations. Another great thing is meditating, right? So meditating, grounding yourself, and kind of realizing like, okay, let's think of this logical.
Just take a second and breathe.
Exactly. And then another question is, will you do something in the mental health field when you were done with school? You were so good at it. Thank you very much for that.
He added that last part. They didn't write it. No, I'm kidding.
Honestly, I don't know. Like I said before, right now I'm in finance. So I would love to maybe do like psycho finance or psych finance, right? So where you could kind of marry the two. I think that would be pretty cool.
That's a thing.
Yeah, so you kind of analyze like the psychological side of humans and investing, and it's pretty interesting.
That's cool. That sounds really cool.
So that's definitely a possibility. I don't know if I would be exactly a therapist. Like I said, I'm 2 years in on a finance degree, so it would be kind of hard to switch it. And then, I don't know though. It's definitely a possibility.
That's something I feel like time kind of will tell.
Yeah, exactly. And I do love doing this. I love interviewing people. I don't know if that would kind of hinder that and kind of take away from that. But yeah, I don't think it's out of the cards, but I right now, no, I'm studying finance, so I'm not planning on being a therapist, but like I said, anything could definitely change.
Life still happens.
Yes. Then the next question is, what is your favorite thing about owning your own company? I really like this question also. My favorite thing about owning my own company is being in control of everything. You get to see out your vision however you want it. You're not doing it for somebody else. You're doing it for you, and you don't have to answer to people. You don't have to, try and please people. It's for you, right? So I think that's probably one of my favorite aspects. And another thing is you have to work for it, right? So it kind of gives you this drive and this itch that you need to scratch to kind of, like I said before, in my head, prove people wrong, right? For all those people who think you can't do it, and even all the people that think you can, just proving people wrong and doing something for yourself, right? I'm able to do this all for myself and create something that is, in my opinion, amazing, right? I'm able to create a community and have everybody together and be something that's strong. So I think all those aspects are something that's really, really cool about having your own company. The next question is, how do you deal with high expectations? So growing up, I was somebody who, my parents never really had like high expectations. Like they never put a lot of pressure on us. Like with school, they were always like, look, if you're trying your best, I don't care. You could try your best and get an F. I don't care. Like if you're trying your best, that's all that matters. So we never had pressure with school. Even with baseball, like my dad was always my coach, or he was always around. When I was younger, he was my coach, and as I got older, he was just always there. But never put pressure on me. If I pitched a terrible game, he was like, oh, what went wrong today? Like never. I knew kids whose dads would scream at them and, how could you? You're messed up, like whatever. Like where my dad was never like that. And, so I never had to worry about any of that stuff. I put a lot of pressure on myself. So I was a lot harder on myself than anything. So I guess with high expectations for myself, I sometimes would not reach my expectations, and then I'd get really down on myself. Like let's say I wanted to pitch a great game and I didn't. I would get really down on myself, but I never let it affect the team. Like there were also kids who would just be down and then they're crying in the dugout. Like we're like, dude, like what are you doing?
You're almost out of high school.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, it was more of like an internal thing where I was like, you know what? Now I have to work harder next time. So just with high expectations, if it's with your parents, I don't know. Did you have high expectations, or did your parents have high expectations of you?
I'd probably say whatever their expectations were, I kind of knew what I wanted, and I had those high expectations of myself.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you deal with them?
Just work towards what I wanted, It wasn't necessary. Like, it wasn't anything crazy. Obviously, I want to play baseball. So work hard at it every day. Keep working hard at it till it either works or it doesn't, and then you move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Perfect. And the final question is, what is your favorite podcast episode? So, honestly, I love every single episode, and I love every single episode for different reasons.
Answer.
Oh no, I'm gonna answer it. But I seriously do love every episode. Every episode, like I said before, is so unique. None are like the others. But I have to say probably my favorite one is Rebecca's episode. So Rebecca is a quadriplegic, and her story is just amazing. And I actually have an episode. It'll come out the week prior to this one. So if you guys are listening to this and you haven't listened to
2 weeks from now,
it's actually going to be out next week.
Next week.
So it'll be a week before this episode. So we're in the future right now, but. Yeah, so I'm going to be releasing Rebecca's second episode. So we just did a year anniversary for Rebecca's episode. But yeah, her story is amazing, and she has gone through some pretty crazy stuff. And just her outlook on everything is amazing. And it really, really just shows you like you could literally do anything. So, for people who kind of have these crutches in life and are using things as excuses, she's the prime example of why people have no excuse to not do anything. So yeah, that would probably be my favorite episode, or at least one of. And like I said, it's so hard to choose because I really do love all of them. They're really all amazing in their different ways.
Yeah.
What's your favorite episode? It could be ones that we recorded, or
I'd say I'll go with the one that helped me the most was probably the toxic relationships one.
okay,
Because it really helped me improve the quality of the relationships that I have in my life.
very interesting. Yeah. And my favorite one that we recorded together was probably the one we did last week. So that's going to be out in
2 weeks.
2 weeks or 3 weeks, something like that.
After
That's
Rebecca's, right?
I think I'm going to do, probably. But
Okay.
it was such a good episode. So I think you guys are going to like that one also. But yeah. So thank you guys so much for all of the support and everything lately. I'm so glad that we made it to 50 episodes and hopefully 500 more. But yeah, it's really been an amazing journey. I think episode 50 is a pretty cool milestone to have. Is there anything else you would like to kind of say, as you're, a part of everything? And
It's been cool to see it grow, especially the way it started out and what it's turned into. We wouldn't have had this set up on the fly, much less in your room for the first time. So it's been pretty cool to watch it change. I'm kind of curious to see where it ends up, a year from now even.
definitely. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate all the support. Please, if you guys can, share and give it a 5-star rating. It really helps us out. And yeah, I really appreciate everything you guys have been doing. Our TikToks have been doing really well. Everything is just continuously in the right direction. And that's all because of you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. And don't forget to check out Dark Angel Company on Instagram @DarkAngelCo and online at darkangelco.com. If you're interested in supporting and spreading awareness towards bringing light to a dark topic together, then tune in next time.